You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. Adam Baugh is the MacGyver of land use and zoning. He is a problem solver with a talent for removing obstacles that impede development. Adam's relationships help developers and businesses succeed in situations that seem impossible. He is a partner at Withey Morris Baugh PLC, where he has been practicing land use and zoning since 2007. Hey, Adam, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for inviting us on the show.
Yeah, great to have you. Hey, so tell me a little bit more about Withey Morris Baugh and what you guys do.
So Withey Morris Baugh is a boutique zoning and land use law firm here in Arizona. We help whether it's property owners, developers, small business owners work through the zoning entitlement process from hello to C of O. And that way they can create enterprise, build developments, and build communities through our land use offerings. And at the end of the day, most cases require a vote by city council, and that's how we get them across the line. And sometimes they just require some assistance with the planning director or the local development department, and we essentially just problem solve so people can succeed.
So, if a business out there is looking for, land use counsel, why is it important to have somebody who's kind of like, local with strong local connections?
Well, at the end of the day, you need assistance from somebody. Maybe you call it begging, maybe you call it pleading, but either way, I need to go to the planning director or the mayor and help them understand why our project makes good sense and how it can benefit the community. And it's easier to make that pitch when it's somebody that has established a long relationship, who's been in the trenches with them, who's knows what it takes to help this community grow. And when it's somebody who's not local, they don't really necessarily understand all the components that go into a good land use decision, or particularly when you have major neighborhood opposition, helping the elected officials or the planning staff understand that despite that opposition, this is a good project. And that only can be conveyed with somebody who they have a long-term relationship and history working together, where they know that what they're saying is viable and credible.
How and when did you know you wanted to become an attorney?
Oh man, I thought I was gonna be a dentist, and I went to the dentist, and after that meeting, I said, "Yeah, I'm never going to be a dentist." But law school was a natural path out of college, and I didn't know what type of lawyer I'd be. I had a chance to do an internship with the mayor of Phoenix, and I saw these guys come in and tell their story, and they're so charismatic, and the way they portray the issue and the resolution just seemed so natural that I didn't know what that was, but whatever they did is what I wanted to do. And come to find out that those were zoning attorneys. And there's not many of us here in Arizona. There's only a handful, but we're so crucial because Arizona's on the growth. And it's one of the states where people are moving, enterprises coming, everything needs some type of zoning help. But because these are political decisions, having somebody who has great connections and relationships at the local level with elected officials is what I thought I could do well, and helped me be able to find a niche in this business. It's given me a career that I don't think I would have ever known about. And it's been a blast to be a part of it for the last 17 years.
Yeah, I bet. What is it about? What is it most about this kind of law that you enjoy? Most people, I think when you kind of like dream about becoming an attorney, you picture yourself like arguing in front of a judge or whatever, a jury. What is it about this type of law that you really enjoy?
Well, first of all, I think I'd be a terrible attorney if I was any other type, to be honest. I can't imagine just sitting at my desk all day long doing transactional work or being in courtrooms arguing people. What I love about it is I'm building the very communities that I live in. I mean, I can, on a Saturday, drive down the street and point to a building, a commercial shopping center, a neighborhood, a subdivision, a hotel, and say, kids, like, this is what dad does. I helped build this thing. And because we get a chance to build our community, it's the place I shop, I frequent, I live. And it's friends that I've made, local chambers of commerce, business owners, elected officials, community volunteers. I've become such a part of the community and building it. It's fun to sort of feel like you're giving back in the very places that you live. And the other part is our entitlement cases have a lot of creativity behind them. You can see how what used to be just random suburbs with basic brown stucco buildings, now you can create design and inspiration and spaces of unique destination. It makes you want to linger a little longer in some of these places. It's fun to be a part of that, and it's all behind the scenes. So it's fun to see it when it actually comes alive.
Yeah, that's great. How did you talked a little bit about it. Can you expand on how you got started in the legal industry?
Yeah, it you know I thought I was going to be an immigration law attorney. I spoke Spanish. I used to teach citizenship classes when I was in undergraduate. I taught English as a second language. And so coming to Arizona for law school to go be an immigration attorney was what my plan was. I spent a year volunteering at a detention center, translating documents and asylum petitions, and learned that I do not want to be an immigration attorney. And so you kind of have to pivot. And thankfully, I was fortunate enough to get that internship with the mayor of Phoenix, and then some other critical ones with city attorneys and a government relations law firm in Las Vegas. And as I saw how these people interacted with the local officials and jurisdictions, really helped me see that that's a skill set I have. The ability to build relationships with strangers in 30 seconds, to resolve concerns in a few minutes, and to create relationships of trust to help secure a result are things that I felt like were skill sets I do well. Didn't know that there was a law that could align with those skill sets, but it is. And for the last 17 years, we have been doing those things. We have neighbor meetings where people are hostile, planning commission meetings where commissioners are against the proposal, or even elected officials who run on campaigns against apartments. At the end of the day, we're able to find common grounds and help them see the benefits and the reasons why it should be supported. And I think that all just is an exercise in relationship building and finding win-win for everybody. And I think that's something we've done well. And as a result, it's an area of law that I've enjoyed doing, and not one that they teach necessarily in law school, but it's one that's been very successful for us here in Arizona.
Yeah, great. So you had an internship with the mayor of Phoenix. How did why I keep wanting to call it Withey Morris Baugh come about?
So Mike Withey and Jason Morris are the founding partners of the law firm. Both came from large law firms and realized that they don't like working in large law firms. And the ability to kind of create their own destiny was what they wanted to do. I was a law student that graduated in 2006 looking for a job. And after kind of getting a taste of what a zoning law firm is, I went around and started talking to every zoning lawyer in town and convinced these guys to let me work for free. And after a few months of, by the way, they said, no, we'll pay you $25 an hour. But I was willing to bet on myself. And after a few months, I got offered a job somewhere else. And I went to Mike with you and I said, Mike, I've enjoyed these projects I've done with you. And if there's an opportunity to work with you, then I'll pass on this one and I'll wait until that time comes. And if not, just let me know and I'll move forward. And he said, give me 24 hours. And I came back. He came back the next day and he said, when do you want to start? And that was at the end of 2006. And at the time, I was just a junior associate of a boutique law firm, and eventually became a partner 7 years later, an owner 10 years later, and now own the firm about 15 years later. So it's been a treat to kind of grow up to the ranks where I begged, pleaded, and conned my way into a job to now running the firm and teaching and mentoring the people that hope will be the next generation to take us over.
So what kind of things did you do when you told him you would work for free and he paid you $25 an hour? What kind of things did you do to start out?
Yeah. Well, I could say that because I had a job that was an immigration attorney job, and my clients were other national. So I could work from 6 a.m. to 2 or 3 p.m. at my real job, and then come and work for him from 2 to 5 or 6, 7 p.m. and in this capacity. And because the nature of our business is public hearings at nighttime, neighborhood meetings at nighttime, it was easy for me to kind of do both at the same time. So I did a lot of little research projects, memos, attending public hearings. I wish I could say I did something of significance and importance, but I think for the most part, I was probably a probationary period to convince them that I was worth taking a chance on. And it worked out. And I think I was able to show that there is room for a young guy to succeed in this space if he's hungry, if he's got grit, and if he's likable. And in our business, those are some key traits to succeed.
Yeah. I mean, when you go from guy who's begging for a job, willing to work for free, to now owning the firm, I'm sure there's some big moments or milestones maybe along the way. Are there any that come to the top of your head that you're most proud of?
Yeah, there's a few. Most of the guys in our industry, or guys and gals, lived here, grew up here, went to school here, and so they have this natural connection and relationships that help them succeed. I didn't. I grew up in Southern California, so to come to Arizona at 26, 23, I can't remember how old I was, and to begin to form those relationships was tough. But I remember some of the first times when I started getting my own phone calls to help people with cases. And they were small stuff. Maybe it was to help someone with a variance or a property violation, or a really small rezone for like an auto body shop. But those calls started coming a little bit more. And while I couldn't see myself at the type of level that my partners were then, you could feel the momentum start to build. And then a few more calls and a few more clients, and word started to get around. Architects and engineers would say, "Hey, this guy did a really good job on this case." And as it became to be more of a recognition of the successes and the way to kind of maneuver that process, people started calling more and more. You felt the confidence. So when a real tough case came in, you knew you could do it because you've done versions of this several times before. I remember having a case that was for a large furniture store who was located in Arizona for the first time, but had a huge market share in the Mountain West. And it required not only to get necessary votes to approve it, but in an expedient amount of time. And trying to figure out how to convince the city not only to say yes, but to expedite permits and to give development agreement incentives to make this possible, while at the same time recognizing the issues that you're going to have with some of the neighbors that surround you. It was like performing surgery, very tactical, very precise, and had to be well executed. But once we got it done and finishing it, looking back, I remember thinking, I was able to do something amazing. If I can do this, I could probably be okay in this business. And there's a few of those moments like that where it gives you the confidence that you can succeed when you don't feel like you're at the par level with some of the people that you look up to and respect.
When you go into like one of these public meetings, and let's say that you work with a client that you're really happy to be working with, but there's a lot of maybe opposition for them to move into the neighborhood, or to that area or whatever, just because for whatever reason. uh what's your goal in the end? Like is it just to make sure that your client gets what he or she wants, or are you trying to work with everybody? What do you try to do?
It's a great question. People hire me because everything is hard. Everybody hates your cases. So when there's neighbors involved in opposing it, it's why I have a job, to be honest. And so it's normal and customary for me to deal with neighborhood opposition. Most people don't like to see the status quo change. And what they'll see with time, after a project's been entitled and then built, that it's actually not what they projected. Their worst fears never come true. And they end up becoming supporters, shoppers, customers, or residents of the place. But in my mind, you have to find ways to work together. I don't want to be a bulldozer. That might succeed one time, but after that, you're getting a reputation of being a bulldozer. And elected officials want to get reelected. So they want to be able to say, I appreciate the developer work with the neighbors, that they work together on finding the solution. And because they reach that solution, that councilor can simply endorse it rather than have to pick sides and who they like. It's not always that easy, but I've always found that working collaboratively with neighbors is really the best way. It doesn't mean that they get everything. It doesn't mean that I get everything, but helping them see the benefits of it and areas that we can work on to improve our plan is really how you make good community decisions. And people hire me because I've succeeded in one spot and they found out, so they want to come back the second or third time in a neighborhood area. So if I just ramrod something through, it would be hard for me to come back the second, third time and still deliver wins. So finding ways to create mutual wins for us, the neighbors, and the politicians is the way we find long-term success.
You mentioned that you were pretty skilled at developing relationships pretty quickly. Is there like a key to that? Is it just who you are? Were you just kind of born that way?
Oh, I think some of those things are inherent with who we are as individuals, and some of those things are taught. But I was a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints when I was 19, 20, and 21, sent to a place that I had no idea, had to learn a foreign language, didn't know. And here's this white guy living in a culture of people who look nothing like him. And meeting strangers and trying to proselyte and share the gospel when they know nothing about you and probably have every reason to distrust you. You have to find ways to find commonalities. And those skill sets of finding commonalities and building relationships of trust and uh, showing empathy and listening and responding to questions, those are all skill sets that translate so well into my business. But if I was a salesman, it could probably be the same thing. I mean, truthfully, these are, I think, skills and abilities that can't be taught, can't be inherent, but need to be refined and perfected. And it's one of the ways that I've been able to succeed because it's such a critical part of our practice. Never thought that knocking doors as a 19-year-old would help me as a 44-year-old attorney, but it did.
Yeah, it probably helps you, kind of not worry about what people think or not be scared off by objection and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, I did. And it's kind of funny because after that, I was able to go do door-to-door sales as a selling pest control as a summers in between colleges, and just a lot of experience with strangers, helping them understand why something makes good sense when at first they were opposed. Really, the skills translated well into my law practice, and it's the same way I deal with neighbors, the same way I deal with politicians on the benefits of a project and mixed use development, a new industrial business park or a commercial shopping center. There's always some hesitation in the beginning and helping them see the value of it and why it makes good sense and how they can really benefit from it is what we do for a living.
So now, as owner at Withey Morris Baugh, what are a few of your daily kind of rituals that you find most important? What's in a typical day for you?
My day has to start out with exercise. If I can't go out and run, bike, or go to the gym, just I feel like I'm in a funk. My mental clarity starts right in the morning. I can think through what my day is going to look like, particular meetings I'm going to have, how I'm going to handle it, what items I need, and that all happens while I'm on a bike or on a run. I love the way that helps me prepare for my day. Um, the moment I'm up, I'm already preparing for um, my cases, emails and phone calls, reaching out to staff. And then I'll do meetings in the morning with my team to make sure what are the greatest priorities we have during the day, what are the exhibits that we need for the neighbor meetings, who are the politicians that we're seeing. And I feel like sometimes I'm sort of a firefighter where I'm just putting out fires today. And other times I feel like I'm a preventative firefighter where there's no fires, but I'm installing smoke alarms and fire breaks in advance of issues coming ahead. So that's what we do for a living, and that's how I best plan out my day.
Great. Hey, I have one more question for you, but first, how can people find out more about Withey Morris Baugh?
Well, obviously, we have a website. It's wmbattorneys.com. But what's been really fun for us the last few years is we created a podcast called Dirt to Development. And it's the story of how the commercial shopping centers are the places you live and the background behind them, the story behind the people, the personalities, the politics that a lot of people don't see. And the stories behind them need to be told. And so that's a good way to find us, learn about what we do, how we can help people through the process. And of course, on LinkedIn as well, Adam Baugh.
What's your podcast called again? Sorry.
It's called Dirt to Development.
Okay, great. Hey, last question for you. What is the
Yeah,
best or worst piece of advice you have ever received, if you can think of it?
yeah, for sure. I know there's a phrase, fake it till you make it. That's not the best advice. But I do remember distinctly a time when a business partner sat me down and he said, people want to have confidence in you. And the best thing you can do is to convey the confidence that you have the ability to succeed here. If you give them that confidence, then you have the time to go solve it and figure out how to do it. And it was so true because when I look weak, when I look like I don't know what I'm doing, it's seized upon by the neighbors, by politicians, or even your client. If you can convey that confidence that you know that you can do this and that you've done this and that you have a way forward, you can create a game plan, it sort of manifests that that's the actual outcome that will be. So it was great advice I got pretty early within the first few months. And it's one of the ways that I've really led my practice. People will come to me and I say, you know what, we can totally help you out. And then when the meeting, I'll go over to our plan and say, I've never done one of these before, but we'll figure it out. Let's go get it done. And it's been successful all this time.
Very nice. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Hey, Adam, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's been a delight.
So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.